Hey, everybody. So, what I want to talk about is this question that has come up over and over again, and I've had yet to address it. And I felt like it was about time that I did, and this is where people were asking, should I stop reaching out? Should I stop making contact? Things like this. Now, that's a decision you are going to have to make as an individual. However, I'm going to give you some information and insight within this video that will help you look at the things you need to look at in order to make the best decision for you and your path. Because regardless of what you're doing, your path is your path. Some things you need to do until you get to a place within yourself where you don't need to do them anymore. Okay, so it's just individual for every person. But this information will help you. Now, when it comes to should I stop reaching out, one of the questions you want to ask yourself is, how is the other person responding? What do they say they want? It's interesting to me that a lot of people, when it comes to this question, they actually have no consideration for how the other person is responding or what the other person says that they want. Okay, and you want to be careful with this because it's a rather narcissistic way to operate, which we all have narcissistic tendencies in certain ways, but we want to be mindful of those tendencies. Sorry about that. I got disturbed. But yeah, it's a rather narcissistic way to be when we kind of just take our own ideas about something and we project it onto another person. So the same respect we would want for our being, our opinions, our feelings, our position on things, our take on life, we want to offer other people that same thing when it comes to their perspective and what it is, how they feel about something. So, and it's funny that we'll say it's love, but we'll be really inconsiderate of another person. You have to think about, how would you feel if a person was projecting onto you what you felt and you're saying you don't feel that. So when it comes to should I stop reaching out, we have to look at, if we're respecting the other person, how is the other person responding? What do they say they want? And we have to respect that. So if the other person is responding in a way like they don't want you to reach out, or they're saying that they don't feel the same way you do, you should respect that and stop reaching out. It's fairly simple. It would seem that I wouldn't have to say that, but some people aren't really making that connection because they're not offering that love and respect to another person and allowing them to make their own decisions, and to know that other people are capable of knowing what they want. Now, another thing when it comes to should I stop reaching out, we have to think about this. Are we being delusional? Okay, so when we're going to answer this question for ourselves about whether we should or should not continue to reach out to someone, we have to ask ourselves, are we being delusional? Have we created some type of fantasy or story in our mind that if we were to take away all of these fantasy type ideals about things, and we were just to look at, what is the real relationship between me and this person, and it's really non-existent, or the other person is just really not having that experience with you. It is delusional to assume that they're having that experience with you. Okay, we just have to be honest with ourselves about that, because the thing is, people don't want to be honest with themselves about a lot of these situations, but they're not realizing how they are actually holding themselves back from the love that they claim to desire. Okay. Another thing we have to think about when we're answering the question for ourselves of should I stop reaching out? Why am I reaching out? You really have to think about, are you codependent and just trying to save or rescue someone? Are you reaching out because you feel like they need you? These are all types of codependent, unhealthy relationship patterns that we have within us, that we've had long before this person or this situation came along. Because the truth of the matter is, nobody needs us to save or rescue them, and we don't need that from others. Okay, every person on this planet is so loved that the universe is there for all of us. So wherever we're at in our own evolution and growth process, everything that we need will be provided to us. So sometimes when you see people that don't have what they need, what you would think that they need in order to get to their next place, sometimes people are rejecting that. You know, I've done it. I'm guilty of that. I think most of us have, where you have the things, the universe is providing the things for you to get to your next level, but you refuse it. It happens even with some of these videos. Some of this information is there for people to get their next level or their next level of consciousness so that they can get where they need to be, and they'll reject it. The same way people can reject help from others. You know, you can reject whatever the universe is putting there for you, but every person is so loved that the universe will still continue to create situations for each person to get what they need. So the truth of the matter is, nobody needs us. We don't really need anybody. Okay. And what I mean by that, even with me and the work that I do and putting these videos out, if I didn't do that, it's not, nobody needs me to do that. You know, if I don't do that and they don't get the information here, or they don't get what they need here, the universe is going to find some way to get them what they need. Okay. Whether that's a hard road of more experiences or some other person, however it comes about, nobody is neglected or just completely forgotten about in this universe. Okay. So we have to ask ourselves, are we doing it because we want to save or rescue someone? Because if we are, we need to look at our own internal issues and our own codependency and unhealthy relationship patterns, because that is not the way that we should be approaching relationships. Like people are projects or they need something from us. That's not how we should be approaching it. Another question, when we're looking at why we're reaching out, am I subconsciously hoping they will appreciate and love me for it? I get a lot of people that say that they're reaching out and they don't want anything in return, but deep inside, they're actually hoping that they're reaching out will get them some type of love and appreciation for it. If you're reaching out for that purpose, your intentions are not pure. Okay, so you always want to check your intentions and make sure that you are not reaching out because of an unhealed issue within you that you're trying to solve, and you're using this person as an excuse, because you're actually using this person and you won't realize it. You're using them to solve an internal issue that really has nothing to do with them, but you're not aware of yourself enough to realize that. So if you're hoping that you will get some appreciation and love for it, your intentions are not pure. And in that case, yes, I would stop reaching out and deal with my intentions and the things that are going on with me, and then see where I stand from there. Another question, do I think this is building some type of relationship for the future? Okay, once again, if that is the thought process, and actually I think in my head in some way that I'm building some type of relationship for the future, and I'm reaching out because of that, even though this person isn't actually working to build anything with me, then I have to look at my own intentions and the depths of my own heart and my own being to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. A lot of what we do is not about what we're doing. Why are we doing it? These are the questions that we really need to have answered within ourselves, okay, for our own healing and evolution. So you should not be reaching out because you think that it's building some type of relationship for the future, and the person isn't on that with you. They're not building that with you, where you're both trying to build something for the future. If they're not building something with you for the future, you're not building anything. You're actually doing something on your own, because it takes both of you to be building. Okay? This is why a lot of people get disappointed by these situations. Another thing we need to look at when we're asking ourselves the question of, should I stop reaching out? A lot of times I talk to people and they're like, well, I'm reaching out, but I have no expectations. Okay, here's the question you have to ask yourself. Am I having no expectations because my self-esteem is low? Because when we have this whole thing of no expectations, it's a little weird. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? Having no expectations is something that you actually evolve into when you're building with a person and you move in that direction together. It's not something where you really meet someone and you just start out with no expectations of each other. It's when people are doing that, what they don't realize is that this is coming from a place of low self-esteem. Because when you meet someone, you should have expectations in the beginning. Why? Because you don't even know this person. So the types of expectations, like when I meet someone, I have an expectation that we're going to be building together. I have an expectation that we are heading in, that we want the same things. Like there's certain expectations you should always have when you're first meeting someone. Now, as you evolve in whatever it is that you two decide to build together, you begin to relax those expectations because you know one another. And from there, you just move forward and deeper into the experience, deeper into union with one another. But having no expectations because your self-esteem is low, and what that really looks like is like, I have no expectations because I just really want love with this person so bad that I don't really have any expectations of them. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you're a female and you're doing this, it is the biggest turnoff for men ever. Okay, women with no expectations, seriously, men are like gagging. They will use women that they meet that have absolutely no expectations, but they are very, very rarely actually attracted to those women and wanting to build anything with them. Okay. Now, and then here's the thing: when people say I have no expectations, they don't realize a lot of times that they actually do. And what I mean by that is truly having no expectations. If you were really reaching out with no expectations, it would mean that you're fine with doing whatever you're doing, even if this person doesn't like you, doesn't love you, and never will. You're not doing it because you have a belief that they actually love you, but it's buried deep inside and not expressed. Okay. So you have to ask yourself, if you decide, because remember, this is an individual decision for each person to make on their own. If you decide that you're going to continue to reach out with no expectations, then you have to actually do it with no expectations. Okay. And so that means you have to drop this idea that they actually love you, but they're not expressing it, or that they have some feelings or desires with you, but they're not expressing it. Drop that. Come to terms with, okay, if this person doesn't like me at all, if they actually don't love me, and if they actually never will, do I still want to do this? Because then it's with no expectation. It's something you want to give, regardless of if this person doesn't have any feelings for you and they want to walk off into the sunset with someone else. If you're not willing to do what you're doing now, knowing they don't like you, they don't, like you romantically, they don't love you, they never will, and there's no hidden love or anything like that. If you still want to do it, then you're actually doing it with no expectations. But if you're doing it thinking that this person has some type of feel, you're doing it out of the expectation of those feelings growing. Okay, but you're not aware of it, so you think you're doing something with no expectations, but you're full of expectations. Because you're actually expecting this to be reciprocated. You're expecting it to be cared about. You're expecting it to be appreciated, or like for it to actually mean something at some point. So if you are going to make the decision to have no expectations, understand what no expectations means. And be okay with what you're doing, even if it means this person is like totally in love with someone else. They'll never feel that way about you. And this situation will never go anywhere. That's no expectations. So if you're okay with that and you still want to do what you're doing, then that's your decision. Okay. So these are just some things to think about to help you make the decision in a sound, grounded, connected way of if you should continue to reach out to a person or put effort or energy into a person. Okay. So that's that, guys. I love you guys bunches. I hope that it was beneficial and helpful to you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.